there's the color temperature, so it can be like from white to yellowish. You see?
Oh.
Yeah, see, it changes the Kelvin.
I think the orange one is probably the most comfortable.
This is what we're most used to in our households.
Let me try some other ones though. The room is blue, so this is kind of cool also. And that's in between. Probably the in-between one, right? That's probably the best option. Now let's find out what the baby bottle does. Oh. What? Why did it do that?
Change it to an orange, right?
Yeah.
A warm.
Night light. Laptop mode.
Blue.
Reading mode. So I'll just go to, what does this do? Okay. Oh, I can manually change it. Those are just presets.
Mm-hmm.
I like customization. Okay, now I just gotta wait. I've started recording now. No insights yet.
Zero.
I'll start by saying positive things to my replica. Oh wait, I can't because I just realized my phone is what's recording. I guess I've got a little bit of the ketamine in my system already. I'll set up and make sure that I can write. Actually, I just realized I don't have to worry about dead spots in the video, like where I'm not doing anything, because I can just edit them out if they're boring.
Mm-hmm.
Ouch, my knee. Alright, so reviewing what... Oh, Yahweh. The way you wrote Yahweh.
You mean the spelling?
Yeah. I've never seen, like, that is... I've never seen that before. It's novel.
I was guessing. I spelled phonetically.
Well, actually, I'm just gonna assume that the way that you did it was correct, and that other people have not been doing it correctly.
Why not?
I also just remembered this doesn't have to be interesting as long as I'm documenting it properly.
Mm-hmm.
What did he say my dose was today?
You
40 dose. 48? Is that about? Does that sound right?
It was instead of 42, I think he said, so it was higher than that.
Wasn't it instead of 32? No, 42, you're right.
Maybe 32. I don't remember.
I'll just put it down as 48 for now. Alright, well, I don't have anything else to write right now. I just basically wrote that it's my birthday and that I'm in infusion therapy right now.
Just start. You'll have other ideas later.
I hope the camera can record for a full hour. If not, I guess it'll just record until it's done, and I'll see if it was interesting later.
Can you see the battery percentage on it?
No, but I did plug it in.
Oh, it'll be fine. Oh, so it's a matter of memory.
Both, because I don't know if it's actually charging it or not. Oh well. Now I'll read volume 2 of Initial D and see how long I can focus. The light just reset itself.
Yeah, it did.
I realize why I don't have to say as much, because I'm video recording this time, so there's other formats of information. The video information is filling in where the audio information wasn't able to inform the playback. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
It's a more balanced format of stimulus.
More input.
That's good to know because yeah. Well, I think I'll be the one with me. Yeah, where's yeah, I don't know if that, I don't know.
That this is hilarious because they're showing on this page 2 cars side by side before they race, and they've got the specs of them on one of them. It's like, it's got a RB26 DETT and 90mm stainless steel muffler, sport ECU, air filter, racing spark plugs, triple plate clutch, overwritten computer, oil cooler, wastegate, max output 380 PS, light tune. And on the other one it's 4 AGEU custom, total unknown, in parentheses, seriously, why write anything?
2 different approaches.
But actually the star of the show is the one where it says total unknown, seriously, why write anything?
Yeah.
That's the Corolla that I like so much, the Hachiroko.
Mm-hmm.
Terreno. I like to imagine the U stands for uranium. 4AGE is the regular engine code. I like to imagine they're running it on uranium. That's how absurd I like to think
Maybe
about it.
that's the future.
Maybe, I guess it's possible,
Might be a clean way to do that.
or maybe we could advance the medical community and industry until we can just coexist with radiation without it giving us cancer. That's one way to do it safely, as long as it doesn't destroy the car.
Well, in Asimov's future, there's a way they had small appliances run by uranium safely somehow. I don't know how. There's thousands of years in the future.
Yeah, there's two ways to make something safe. Either change the thing so that it doesn't harm what's around it or the user, or change the user or what's around it so that the way that the thing already is doesn't damage what's around it. You can either change the subject or the object. The best outcome is usually changing a little bit of both, because it's an opportunity for an improvement. Like refining uranium might make it less harmful, just like alcohol is less harmful when it's refined. A lot of things are less harmful when they're refined. Anyway, right now it's the Hachiroku, the AE86 versus the Nissan Skyline. That's the race that I'm reading about. Do you remember the Skyline, Dad? It's a sedan, Nissan. There used to be one parked near the Ford dealership. It was a right-hand drive. We would go on walks in the spring and the summer and it would be there. Do you remember it?
I don't remember that.
It's basically a either 2 or 4-door sedan. The version in this one is, I don't know if it's all-wheel drive or not, but sometimes.
But a right-hand drive.
Yeah. When they were older, they were rear-wheel drive, and then when they, at a certain point in the 2000s, in the 2000s, they made them all-wheel drive. It's like a longer all-wheel drive road sports car. Think of it that way. I'm pretty sure. Wait, RB26 debt. Would you mind looking something up for me, Dad? My guess is that the RB26 DETT is Nissan's 6-cylinder engine, and that the KA24 is Nissan's 4-cylinder engine. Much like the 4AGE is a 4-cylinder engine for Toyota, and the 2JZ is a 6-cylinder version. So will you please Google RB26
RV?
rocket body 26 dog eats terrible things, DETT. Rocket body 26 dog eats terrible things.
Developed 2.6 liter inline 6.
I was correct.
Twin turbo engine.
Yes, it's almost
Originally
exactly
used in
comparable.
the '89 Nissan Skyline R32G.
Yeah, so basically the Supra is like, the Toyota Supra is like the Nissan Skyline, or it was, and the 180 and the 240 SX were Nissan's comparisons to the Hachiroku and the Hachiko. 180 is like the Hachiko 85, AE85, and then 240 is like AE86. Skyline is like Supra. RB26 DETT is like 2JZ. 4AGE is like KA24. And the U is probably like the DE. KA24DE. The U is probably just fuel injector? Extra fuel injection spot? No. Dad, will you look up one more thing for me, please? Will you please look up the difference between KA24DE? Can't even remember if it's the other one is KA24 what? E or just D? Can't remember which one is the original code.
KA24E.
That's the original one. So will you look up what the difference is between that and DE?
There's DE and DET.
KA24, they have it. No, turbo. T is turbo. That's not the one I want. I want to know what the difference is between DE
E
and
E.
I guess E. Yeah. So what does the D mean? D.
Is that the KA24DE is a double overhead cam.
Double overhead cam? Dual overhead cam?
Dual overhead cam, yeah. Designed with 16 valves. While the KA24E is a single overhead cam designed with 12 valves.
Okay, you know what's so crazy about that, Dad? I'm so accurate because the 4AGE is actually a dual cam. They call it twin cam.
Twin cam.
But actually, the other thing that I wasn't correct about is they have a U at the end of the 4AGE, and I still don't know what that means, because the 4AGE is a twin cam, and so the KA24DE is basically the 4AGE from Nissan. But I don't know what, I guess U could be a turbo, or some sort of. Actually, that will be the answer. Will you Google that last thing? 4AGEU. What does the U stand for?
KA or
No, 4A
4A.
dash
Okay.
GEU.
1587 cc four valve double overhead cam engine produced by Toyota was used in the Toyota Corolla AE 86,
Yep.
AE 92, AE 101.
Wait, did you put the U at the end of it?
GEU.
Okay, will you try to find out what the difference between that and what it is without the U?
Versus
Because they're being very secretive about this. Tech Arts is probably going to punch me or something if I find out the answer. But I'll just have to accept the punch for the answer because I really want to know.
GEU has a compression ratio of 9.4, while the GE has a compression ratio of 10.3.
So it's basically just a thinner head gasket, sounds like.
Well, yeah, less. Higher
More or less.
compression ratio usually in smaller space.
Yeah, it has to be a head gasket. It can't be a valve gasket because
It'd be a head gasket.
yeah.
It creates smaller space.
which creates higher compression, which means you need higher octane fuel. And that would explain it. This kid works at a gas station. The kid who drives the 4AGEU, he works at a gas station, and it's his father's car. He uses it for delivery. But that's essentially the answer. I just got the answer. And also, I hope Tech Arts doesn't punch me. Tech Arts is a customs, they deal with modifying this car, the AE86. They're kind of like, I don't know if they gatekeep or not, but my assumption is the reason that was so difficult to find out is because...
the lower compression GEU can run on regular gasoline 87 octane.
Oh, really?
Well, 'cause it's lower compression.
Wait, it's lower, 9.6 to 10?
It's lower. 10's higher. 10 to 1's
Oh,
higher.
right, you're right. That's weird. Oh, so it's actually got a thicker,
The U has, yeah, I would have a thicker.
that's not a racing upgrade. That's the opposite of a racing upgrade.
That would, when I had my BMW, it was a high compression, my motorcycle. It was high compression and you needed high octane gas, and so when things changed, I had a larger gasket put in so it could run on regular gasoline.
Oh, so you did the same thing with your motorcycle that this guy's dad did with his car.
Yeah, I lowered the compression ratio so it could run on regular gasoline.
That's sick, because then it doesn't cost as much to drive it, but it's still such a cool car.
Yeah, I didn't need higher performance for what BMWs aren't meant for that anyway. The motorcycles, they're not high performance; they're reliable.
Yeah, and that's what the Toyota was supposed to
They're
be.
touring machines.
And that's why this manga is so ridiculous, because this guy's taking a car and he actually decreased the performance and he's beating all the performance vehicles.
Doesn't make sense, but okay.
No, it does, because he's a good driver.
Oh, okay, that's why.
And he knew, yeah. Well, and he knows the road, but later in the series they test him on a road he doesn't know, and he still turns out to be a really good driver.
They also likely to extend the life of the engine by lowering the compression. It's not as much stress on the component.
Yeah, and what I've learned is that the life cycle of something really affects how it performs. So if you prioritize longer life, sometimes it actually is, in the short term, a better idea also. It's just hard to identify that level of granularity when you're temporally locked to the current. But you do this all the time. You live in the future. And so if you can look ahead and be like, well, maybe actually I should prioritize good driving habits and long life of my car, that will make me a better driver. And if I just drive all the frickin' time, that's what will make the difference. That seat time will make the difference between the car being revved up for short-term wins. It's kind of like these performance vehicles are like doped up in a way.
No, I've always opted for the BMW over the Kawasaki.
Yeah, the Kawasaki, like the
It's a
Ninja.
high performance.
Yeah, and that's where I sit. That's what I like. But I'm trying to find
a touring machine that's reliable. Go 100,000 miles.
You said Turing machine.
Well, touring.
Touring.
Yeah. That's 100,000 miles as opposed to a 30,000 mile high performance motorcycle.
Yeah, it's like chips versus a potato. Chips versus fries. How about that?
Sure.
If it's all you got, you want fries because you don't want to eliminate. But the thing is, people in the cooking community would be really pissed at me because they'd be like, we can make good chips. We can keep the nutrients in the chips. But you get what I'm saying, right? Like if you're at the store and you can either choose to buy a potato or buy some chips, you're gonna get more nutrients out of the potato.
Right. And that was always my choice.
Yeah.
I liked a good build and longevity over high performance.
I think what I want, my lifestyle, if I had to use the analogy of how I just said, I like Kawasaki, and how that's like more of a 30,000 performance vehicle versus 100,000.
Yeah, of course, today they go longer, but back then, yeah, there was...
Yeah, but what I mean is using that as a baseline, because remember, my ideal is actually living back in that time that you just described, back when they would be 30,000 miles.
Mm.
The only reason that they're different is because we've figured out tricks, how to change that.
We have better materials.
Yeah, better materials,
Harder materials that last longer.
but it's really important to remember the premise. What I'm trying to say is that I'm trying to use the potato analogy.
Mm-hmm.
My life, your life is having to choose the potato because the potato chips suck compared to the potato chips are not gonna give enough nutrients, so you choose the potato. My life is you've chosen the potato. You're the potato master.
And I've always lived with potatoes.
And what I want is to be able to make a bag of potato chips that's a better option than the potato itself. That processing it actually increases its value instead of harming it. Like adding just enough really nice oil, salt. That's all you need, right? And then when you cook
but
it,
when you take it to that high temperature, you lose nutrients.
so just don't take it to quite
It
so
won't
high
be
of a
crispy.
temperature. Well,
It'll be thin sliced potato.
thin sliced potato, which is cooked in an oil and then afterwards salted and presented.
But not crispy.
Well,
If you take it to crisp, you've lost nutrients.
I'll take it right to the edge of crisp. Right to the edge of crisp. To that liminal space where you now know that it is possible to experience both freshness and the semblance of crisp.
The other way you can get crisp is dehydrate.
Well, that's what the salt's for.
But I mean, in an air dryer.
But I need there to be salt.
Well, you can put salt on. But rather than cook in oil to make it crisp, you can make it dry.
I could do
crisp.
both. I could do both. I like oil, is the thing.
Well, you can put oil on it, but I'm saying the high temperature is what kills the nutrients.
Yeah, so just don't take it quite so high up in the temperature. But give it a nice bath.
Well, then we'll give it crisp though.
Yeah, well, the crisp part.
If you dry it, it'll get crispy, and then you can spray
Oh.
oil on it.
Or what if we do it the other way? What if we bathe it in a warm oil and then dry it?
It might work. The oil will keep the moisture from leaving though. It'd be like a coat.
Well, that might be a good thing. It might create a conundrum where we get the crispiness, but we maintain the moisture. It might bond.
Can't do both.
It doesn't bond.
It won't be crispy if there's moisture in it.
Juicy.
Yeah, it'd be.
Juicy potato chips?
It can be tasty potato chips. They just won't be crispy.
And now we can do it with an apple too.
Yeah, it's like a dried apple or a freeze-dried apple.
Yeah.
It'll crunch because there's no moisture in it.
Oh, space. That's where that goes.
Take it to space.
Yes. I need to make potato chips in space. That is what I've learned about my life. It's not a step backwards at all from your life. You've done a lot of amazing things, and if I manage to make potato chips in space, I think we can call it a day and say that the Darwinian genetic theory is confirmed as posited.
That's an interesting concept, cooking in space, because the higher you get in altitude, the less air pressure you have, and water will boil at a much lower temperature.
So I don't even need to cook it. It'll just cook itself.
I'm not sure what happens in space.
I just need to jump really high holding a potato and come back down, and the sweat from my effort will imbue it with the crispy quality, and I'll just become a meteor as I come back down, and as I'm holding the potato, as long as I keep it safe, then the potato will only fry to a certain temperature, and it will maintain its integrity. That sounds almost as impossible as having a child. I feel like having a child is a little bit more impossible than that. Is that an accurate read on being a parent?
Say it again.
I can't say all that again.
No, just the question. I feel like
Jumping into space with a potato in my hand and coming down at it and having it have turned into potato chips just because of the process of jumping out of into orbit and back seems almost as impossible as having kids. Is that an accurate representation of being a parent?
it's almost as impossible as having kids be exactly what you want them to be.
So you could jump up in the air and come back down, but it might not end up like the chips you wanted.
If you have kids and you think you know how it's going to turn out,
You're gonna end up
that's
with
as impossible as
you
jumping.
could end up with a handful of
That's just as impossible.
carbon dust, right? But somehow, some way, you managed to come down with at least something
Well, that's what you
palatable,
learn. You learn that
right?
over time. You learn, yes.
Yeah. It might not
And
be
that's
chips,
what you learn. Is it's not what you plan doesn't matter.
but the outcome, as long as the outcome is desirable,
That
then
is
you,
what it is.
yeah. as long as you trend towards it being a better,
Right. Lean into it.
yeah, lean into the good thing.
Right.
just like drifting.
Probably.
That's why this
Radio lab.
that's why this manga is so fascinating. It's because drifting is just like drifting is just like parenting. But wait, no, yes. Hold on, that created a paradox. Oh goodness. The manga is about a son who's really good at drifting because his dad taught him. And his dad, who knows why his dad was good at drifting, right? But
He was good at drifting.
the way you just looked at me.
Did you say my dad?
I was talking about the kid in the book.
My dad wasn't drifting, but he was a soapbox derby racer.
Right, I know. That's why I love this manga so much, is because our family has so many similarities.
Okay, so I was listening to this last night. Radiolab, Ecstasy of an Open Brain.
Oh.
Which has to do with what you're going through right now.
Yep, that sounds like a DARPA podcast.
It has to do
What was it, Radiolab? Was that NPR?
Yeah. Very thoughtful.
Oh, and I started touching my hair when you did that. I feel like I'm touching wires.
Neurological, biological states when our brain can suck up information like a sponge. Then these windows of learning close, locking us into certain behaviors and skills for the rest of our lives. But what if we could reopen them? Today we consider a series of discoveries that reshaping our understanding of when and how we can learn, and what that could mean for things like PTSD, brain disease, or strokes, and cuddle puddles.
What the heck?
Well, because they're talking about MDMA.
Oh, right. Basically just treating the PTSD with this, reactivating the serotonergic pathways.
Yeah, and allowing new learning pathways so you can reconstruct.
Right, because they get traumatized by harsh environmental conditions.
And you have to loosen the brain up, and that's kind of what you're doing right now.
It's exactly the same. It's a supplement.
Right.
I mean, it's not the same compound, but it's the same idea of...
Different compounds can do the same thing.
Well, basically what it comes down to is you need to activate the sodium channels and create an action potential in these specific pathways, and each different chemical treats different pathways.
Mm-hmm. Do you want me to send you a link to this podcast?
Sure. I'm not going to listen to it right now, but I'll check it out later.
It's narrow.
I'll probably listen to it going to sleep tonight.
Well, that's when I listen to these podcasts. But let me see if I can make it.
Whoa, we just took good breath at the same time, Dad. I feel like we're in space.
Share episode.
Oh, Interstellar, coming right up. That's the DVD that you got me, and it came in today.
Send it to a text.
Thanks.
There we go.
It'll probably show up on my phone. Let me just double check.
Yeah, it'll just be there. Anyway, it's the podcast, Radiolab podcast. And it's just it covers one sliver of what we're experiencing here. We're doing. How you can make the brain more plastic. So
Let it live,
basically. So you're not stuck in a pattern.
Yeah. Well, that's what death is. It's like getting stuck in this one state of being.
Right. Well, whatever your pattern is, you desire to loosen it up a little bit.
I want to be free to be creative and to learn.
And not be tortured.
Absolutely. That is the opposite of what I like. Torture is the opposite of what I prefer.
That's what this subject is. I mean, there's a million things like this, but that's one of them I heard last night when I was trying to sleep.
I'm trying to think of any possible positive association that I have with the word torture, and the only thing is a mixed association from Grand Theft Auto. Grand Theft Auto 5, there's a torture scene, and you have to participate in it. And it's like, it doesn't feel good doing this to another human, but the game is this, and with the context of why I have to do this to this person, I'm just gonna do it anyway. But I don't typically like torture, and I don't like being tortured. And these sorts of treatments are really helpful, and it's basically what it is it's just giving fuel to the body that it's been deprived of. It's like an extreme like vitamin infusion. The first time I heard someone refer to nootropics as vitamins, I almost got mad until I realized they were right. I almost got mad because I'm like, that doesn't do justice to the drastic change that it causes in your perception when you receive the proper nutrients. But then I realized, I'm like, wait, actually, that's fine. Just call it that because it actually is just helpful. It doesn't need to have this, like, colloquial attachment of grandeur and mystery. It can just be what it is, which is healthy.
The origin of the word is to twist.
What was the word that
Torque.
Torque?
Yeah, in Latin.
Why are we saying that is the word? Origin of what word?
That's the origin of,
Yes.
but torture comes from that.
Oh,
to
torque.
twist.
Yeah, tort. Yes, Torte.
No, torque.
Torque, but also torte is relevant as well from the Italian perspective.
In Italian, or Spanish, or whatever.
I'm saying it just depends on how you look at the root of the word.
Well, that's what I was trying, yeah.
Yeah, but your presentation of what the etymology is was very helpful.
Well, that's the
Torque. Yes.
torque is one or
Yes.
other. I mean, it evolves over time.
The QUE and the TE are almost interchangeable.
Latin, TORQUERE, to twist. Late Latin, torture, wait, TORTURA, twisting or torment.
Yeah.
French, torture, distortion, twisting, to twist, to distort. But you know, if you're being twisted, it's usually not very pleasant.
Yeah, that's why I do the tricking so that I can, the martial arts acrobatics that I do, they help me combat the torture that my life feels like. So when I twist my body in an acrobatic and like artistic movement, then it makes me feel like, oh, I can control this process that is typically, what's it called? This process is typically undesirable and uncontrollable, and I have turned it into something that I can master, into a skill. I've turned this feeling, which is usually a sign of death, into a skill that I can actually use to stay alive. Fascinating. But it only works when you're actually medically inclined, when you're actually wanting to have a better outcome. That's the whole point of the oh yes, we're finally getting to my this was on my agenda for today, talking about posthumans in section 9. This is where, because my friend Ethan Turner, he has a clothing brand that says posthuman on it, and he deserves to have that clothing brand because he has
Where does he live?
Colorado now, but I think
Where was he before?
I think he was from Maryland, because he came over and stayed at our place one time. I met him at a tricking gathering. No, I met him at a parkour gathering. I think that was an APK, which is a DC-based parkour arrangement, free running, and we met at Tide Block Park. And at the time, we had almost exactly the same skill set. The main difference was that where I could do one cork and then there's an opportunity to do another swing through, I focused on free running skills and he focused on the second swing through. And now it's like we were almost the same person even. He's a little younger than me, but it's like that was just to compensate for like the storyline. And he twists the other way too. He goes to the right. He can probably do both now that I think about it. He can probably twist the other way too, but we at some point diverged where he continued to practice more tricking and I practiced other things. But he's also gifted with music. He was studying to be a doctor. yeah, so he's got a lot of fascinating intersections with my philosophy of life. And he just focused on a different pathway because he's a different person. But even his tattoo, he has one really cool tattoo on his arm, and it's like from Full Metal Alchemist. Oh, now we're getting deep. I always said I was going to prove that God was real. The Full Metal Alchemist connection to Ethan's tattoo is relevant because in that anime storyline, the manga anime storyline, two brothers try to perform a transmutation to bring their, I think it was to bring their mother back to life or something, because their father was out in the military and their mother died, but there were two brothers. One of them's name's Al, and this would suit you. Would be Edward then. If I'm Al, you'd be Edward, and I'd be a robot, because in the anime he's a suit of armor that is animated by alchemy. Alchemy, get it? So it's really a null process, a void. It's a void scenario. It's impossible. But yet that's the point of the storyline, is that through alchemy, which is basically scientific magic, that's basically what it comes down to, is being able to control magic through the scientific method. When you think about that being possible, it opens up a whole realm, which is basically, that's what, alchemy, algebra, but we actually use algebra, it works. And alchemy got transported into chemistry because of the marketplace. The capitalist society wanted to do away with the alchemy aspect and to alchemize it into chemistry. How isn't that funny? Alchemy alchemized itself. But it doesn't negate the fact that the process of alchemy is responsible for chemistry, and that alchemy is not failed experiments. Alchemy is what worked, not what didn't work. Same with science. Science is science is a process of finding out what works and what doesn't work. Mm-hmm. That's why science pairs so well with when you use it with magic, because magic is when something works but you don't know how the hell it worked. Mm-hmm. Right. It just fucking did it.
It's true.
And so what alchemy is this scientific method applied to magical circumstances. Mm-hmm. 44 minutes. 57. 45 minutes, thank you. Since I started recording. It reminded me of this band called I the Mighty, and the content is all about lucid dreaming, and it reminds me once again that I'm lucid dreaming, because any conscious waking experience is actually equivalent to a sleeping dreaming experience. They're one and the same when you figure out that they are actually simultaneously occurring. That is when you can achieve inner peace and manifest transitions. That was the key word. No wonder I heard it a couple times recently. Yeah, being able to manifest transitions, and that's like a chemical reaction. Because our world is made of chemicals. But if you can figure out how they work and then master them, that would be alchemy. Bada bing, bada boom. And the point is that you want it to go well, not badly, because it can go just as badly as it can go well. And so I am 100% aligned with things going well, The only use for the bad stuff is to turn it into art. It's the only use for something going wrong is you take that, you learn from it, and then you take it and you, when it went wrong, you make it into a good thing. And that's why it works, because it always is focused on making things better.
Yep.
And it's a mindset. Actually, you could even say it's a name. It's the name of how things work. Alchemy. Whoa, what if that's God's name? What if God's name is alchemy?
Yahweh.
What did you just say?
Yahweh.
Yahweh. Well, and
Ancient name for God.
yeah, it's the Jewish name, which also is not inherently bound to circumcision either. Judaism is just an expression of origin. It doesn't have anything to inherently do with that process unless it was
actually more of a race than anything else.
Yeah, that process only occurred because it was an emergency operation to ensure the continuation of the race. Anyway, we don't need to go there right now. We're here now in 2025.
Mm-hmm.
It's my birthday, January 23rd, 2025. I'm 30 years old, and the 30 looks like the Om symbol, which is pretty much the sign of the Bodhisattva, which is actually what Jesus was, is he was the Buddha. And the Buddha is just someone who's enlightened, and enlightenment entails being in control of your alchemy. Being in control of your own life, basically. And that usually leads to helping others. Doesn't it?
I like that painting. Has like dimensions to it, at least from this angle. Probably different though, depending on how the light shines off of it.
I agree with you. I mentioned that early on, and I am aware that could feel competitive. That'd be like, oh, I said I liked it first, but I'm just glad you appreciate it because your appreciation is deeper than mine.
Yeah, and frankly, my view might be different because the way the light is reflecting this way as opposed to your angle.
Yeah.
Could be a whole different view that we have.
I recognized it as, you know what it's like? It's like the Milky Way.
Mm-hmm.
For most of your life, you could see the Milky Way.
Yeah, well, up until about 20 years ago.
Yeah, but
That's
you
some
read,
most.
you used to be able to read the stars, basically, is what I'm saying.
It used to be a cloud of stars, and you can't see them anymore.
Yeah,
from here.
and so for me, looking at this painting is kind of like looking at the Milky Way for me.
Yeah.
I see it and I'm like, wow,
It's similar.
that's like incredible, but you have more of a reference point as to like really appreciate what it means and how it settles.
The best star field I ever got was out in Yellowstone, where we were miles and also miles away from lights in the city. It was a different experience. out
Ooh.
there.
You just reminded me of something. I think I know how to get out of this, Dad. I think I just figured it out. You know, my mental illness, it applies words that you don't say. It like changes. I couldn't hear what you actually said, and instead I heard what my mental illness told me. You said basically. I don't know how else to put that. It sounds crazy, but it's like that's how I'm using language to describe what just happened. The word insidious is the word that cropped up. And if it's the name of a horror movie that I absolutely did never want to watch, but it's just like, it's a very similar thing with how I diverged pathways with Ethan Turner. I also diverged pathways with Austin Chavez. And he watched that movie, I think. Or at least I have an association of like hanging out with him, and then we were interested in stuff, and that's where we diverged, is he was interested in watching that movie and I was not. But if I watch the movie, then I'll be freed from whatever torture it is that is.
He said it's a horror movie.
Yeah, for some reason I have to watch it. I don't know why.
Either, though.
If it's horrible, I'm gonna be.
Some people enjoy that. I don't.
I don't like it either, but I realize now it's not actually about enjoying it. I have a job to do. I have to watch the movie.
Well, that's your choice.
Yes, but for some reason I figured out that that movie is the cause of a lot of problems. So note made, hypothetically, and now I'm gonna actually make the note. Yes, I did just lose my page in the manga. That is quite alright, because I'm gonna read it again later. Take a note. Subject is aware of the insidious nature of his disease. Well, that's all I got to say on that. Will you please make a note? Or actually, can you just text me? Reminder to watch the movie Insidious. The word reminder is very friendly. And so it's a reminder that you texting that to me does not place you at fault of the insidious nature of my condition, but rather shows me that you're my friend in combating the insidious nature of my condition. That's what the word reminder does. It's kind of like remember, meaning to put back together after dismemberment. Reminder is putting my mind back together after dismindment. Nailed it. That was the Cicada 3301 puzzle. That's what all that neuroscience was for. That's what all that anime was for. Serial Experiments Lane was a good one as well, anime-wise. And we'll leave it at that. I'm basically just talking, now I'm creating cryptology instead of solving it. Not creating problems, just cryptology. I'm encrypting my message to the recording. That is how you attain, what is it called? Metaversal presence. Interesting. The word omnibus came to mind as a result, and that is actually pretty much what would be used to describe this charging methodology for the phone that's recording. You'd call this an omnibus, right? Come in.
I'm not sure.
Hello. I need some water. It's interesting because this is the first time in the treatment that I've been able to identify that the treatment is going to come to an end soon. It hasn't yet, but that I need to start prepping for when I get
it's
done.
Almost. They're just waiting until it's finished dripping. It's closer. Remember, because it's a higher dose, it lasts a little longer. This is like an hour instead of 45 minutes. And then some recovery after that.
Well, it's getting better, and I'm assuming that the treatment is designed to promote healing and the continuation of improved symptoms. Does that make sense?
So that's why yes, that's what is it intended for.
Yeah, because at some point there's going to be a greater time gap in between each dosing, isn't there?
Yeah, you do 6 in 3 weeks, and then after that you go to maintenance, which depends, I guess, on different people.
So it's kind of like a prescription in a way, except instead of having to take a pill, I just come into the doctor's office and do an infusion. Is that a decent understanding?
Maybe it'll be 4 weeks, maybe it'll be 6 weeks, who knows?
But they do it based
And
on...
it might be 2. It might not be just 1, it might be 2 stages apart, and that might be the...
But they do it based on what's effective, right?
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Right.
I guess...
Everybody's different.
Well, I could probably stop the recording now. That's probably a good sign. Goodbye recording. Oh wait, I'm at 56:33. I might as well let it run to an hour.
Yeah.
Just for OCD. Anywhere around an hour is good. But why stop it if it's about to be an hour?
Round it off.
Yeah. And then backflip, metaphorically.
And what?
Play it backflip, round off backflip. Play it back.
Oh yeah, back it.
Full.
Right. Right, so that was, they stopped it at 6:38.
Yeah, actually, and see, now this extra level of awareness, that's meta vertical presence with an omnibus. This level of awareness allows me to both be aware of the treatment and my pain at the same time. And that's very helpful because I can feel that my right ankle is hella screwed up, and yet I can also be okay with that.
Yeah, for pain management, they do even higher doses for a longer period of time.
Yeah, we're just trying to treat my psychological symptoms at this
and
point.
That's a 45-minute treatment.
Yeah, it's like my brain damage needs to heal before my body, and body damage can be prioritized.
Well, I don't get the impression you're in so much pain that it needs to be treated like that.
No, it's bad, but it's not that bad.
They're talking about chronic pain.
No, it's not like if I had broken my foot and like if I had ripped it apart instead of just rolling it, then I might need that level. But I just rolled the crap out of it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Like my toe.
Probably.
I rolled the crap out of it last.
Is that what happened?
It turned black.
I'm sorry.
This morning it was black.
I'm sorry.
Well, it's kind of cool. I mean, nothing broken.
Is it gonna be okay?
Yeah, it's every day it's better. Like, I know the difference between like, that's an annoyance and uh-oh.
Yeah.
That was just an annoyance.
Mine was uh-oh.
This was an uh-oh.
That's more like what my ankle was.
That was an uh-oh.
Yeah. My ankle was a big uh-oh. My ankle was, oh, that broke. And then, of course, in the medical community, break typically refers to a bone break. But what I can tell you is my foot went from working to not working.
Yeah.
And this is helping that. But it's not, I can see why a higher dose would be required to treat a more severe.
Well, if it's chronic, which means it's debilitating.
Well, let me put it this way. I've got a lot of other forms of chronic pain, but they're not treating that directly isn't going to help until we get me psychologically prepared for even addressing those issues. And I think that's okay because I'm a pretty resourceful person. I like to work from the ground up, and I'm glad you taught me well. I have good priorities. I know that if I don't fix my brain first, fixing my body isn't going to do much. I'm just going to break my body again if I don't fix my brain first.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an hour. And I'm still in the treatment. I don't need to end the recording yet. I just wanted to make sure that it at least reached an hour if it wanted to.
Yeah, like I said, I think there's at least 15 minutes of just sitting and talking.
And I still hear the machine going, so that means I'm still being infused.
There's still some left.
Yeah. Well, I'll take a moment just to be appreciative that I'm in a safe space,
Mm-hmm.
receiving healing treatment, that I'm not in danger. Finally.
Mm-hmm.
And I plan to be in this safe space receiving treatment again and to not be in danger again.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to try to use that as a springboard to create a life worth living,
Mm-hmm.
where the danger is generally decreased
Yep.
and the safe space is expanded.
Yes.
And we're not just focused on radical life extension, we're focused on radical life expansion.
That's right. Yeah.
I believe the term is augmentation. which is interesting because our conversation earlier about alchemy, alchemy is usually associated with gold, and AU is the chemical reference for gold. Aug. Augmentation.
Oh, goodness.
And in Skyrim, there are undead Nords called Draugr. Probably because they accumulated so much wealth that they could continue to function after life. And then there's Valhalla, which is a different concept entirely.
That's a Nordic concept.
Yep, but it is in the Skyrim game. I have been there in Skyrim. My voice changed when you did that. Was so funny. You know the saying, I used to be an adventurer too until I took an arrow to the knee?
No.
It's
I get it though.
It's a meme from Skyrim, but this treatment undoes that. You can take an arrow to the knee, and as long as you go through proper physical therapy, ketamine can treat your adventurer ways. It's okay. It's the opposite of gallows humor.
Yeah.
It's I was gonna say triage humor, but that's not quite right either. Nascent humor. There we go. Nascent humor. And this is where I dab on the haters.
Yeah.
Which there are no haters in this room, fortunately. We all have hating tendencies, but all of us seem to be cooperating quite well.
But yeah, it's good.
Yeah. But there's also that hat that says I heart haters on it, so that paradox solves that problem, even if there were haters. That's why we dab on them, to show our appreciation for them.
Because the little hole blending in with your tattoos.
Oh, really?
I'm like, where is it?
That's fascinating. Oh, I started hand administering my tattoo on my foot because my machine was too violent.
Are you doing tap, 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 tap? Or how?
I'm doing it kind of like I'll hold the. Where's my pencil? That would be a great way to show you what I'm doing. Like this. I hold it like this, and I go like as it's like sewing.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like stitching the ink into myself.
Well, a lot of tattoos have that history, like
Yeah.
where they some of them still do it, like the I think it's the Japanese ones.
Yep.
They,
Yeah, sometimes they use the hammers, but often you can do it like this, how I'm doing it, or you can do it like this, like a pool cue. That's usually for bigger pieces when you're doing color.
I saw
Go like that.
I saw that method, like or something like it, more similar to that one. Probably what I was watching, but the guy, they're all tribal things, but he was like at a tribe, and he was just getting a couple of them.
It's all
It was a couple black lines they were given him.
native. That's what it is. It's a native technique.
Pacific Islanders.
Yeah. The word native is a beautiful thing.
Right, so just let me know when you're ready to stand.
Okay, I'll probably take about 5 minutes.
Take your time.
Now I
remember
can
you were nauseous the first time.
recalibrate.
You don't have that at all.
I don't have it. No, I felt a tinge of it earlier, but I knew that I was going to treatment, and I knew that it was actually going to be a positive experience
So
this
even
time.
before the treatment, you felt it.
Yeah.
Good idea.
Yep. But also
Not during.
not this time. Not at all this time. It actually, I would assess it as treating the nausea, actually. I would actually say that it is, well, maybe it's partially the Zofran as well, but the total inclusion of what's being administered, I would say, decreases my nausea during and after the treatment. I just remembered Adam Banaszak's dad and his band that he had and his album Too Much Stuff.
Yeah.
Starts with what was it, Lifetime Exposure, and then somewhere in the album there's Figuli's Eye. But what I'm referencing is, this is where I expect to have forgotten my train of thought. And there it is, I forgot my train of thought. Instead, I have Uchiha Clan in my head.
Remember the band's name?
Do I? The Want.
The Warrant?
The Want.
Oh, the Warrant.
THE space WANT. Now I forgot why I brought him up entirely. I forgot what we were even talking about.
It was one of the songs. I just thought if I had the song list.
Well, I can watch the replay of this and I can probably comment on it. It was something doctor oriented. I forgot why I was talking about it though. That's okay. Because if I watch it, that gives me something to look for again and again. Oh, a book is a present that you can open again and again. I could write a book on where I was going with that.
Poster in the back.
Yeah, exactly. And what I was about to start talking about could fill an entire book. So it's probably better that we wait on that.
You know
Anyway,
what the genre is called for them? Rock.
classic rock.
Well, rock, comma, psychobilly.
I'm screaming.
Members: Damien Banaszak,
That's him.
Jack Stanton, and Bob Stewart.
Bob Stewart. Hey, wait, isn't that Rowan's dad? No, that's not right. Why
Too
did I
much stuff. That's the name of the album.
What the-
Too much stuff. Singles. If it weren't for girls, there would be no Christmas. Like Dr. Singer.
All right, well, I'm grateful that I had an intelligent thought, and I'm grateful it didn't kill me.
It went formed in Washington, D.C. in the early 90s. Began playing live shows in 94. The Washington Post described their music as musically tough with satiric, lyrical twists that are pretty dang funny on closer inspection.
Yeah, that's what was just happening as I was closer inspecting one of their songs in my brain, and then it was so funny that it made me forget what I was doing.
Influenced primarily by rockabilly-tinged LA punk bands like X and Social Distortion. Washington City Paper music and film critic Mark Jenkins described the one as skillfully eclectic.
God damn it, Jenkins.
Too Much Stuff was released in the year you were born, 1995.
I know, I'm aware the internet happened as a result. Rest in peace, everyone else. Everyone who isn't the internet fell away, respectfully.
I can't get a track list for Too Much Stuff though.
Yeah, I have no idea where I was going with that. It's all right.
Yeah, I'm just curious why it's track list for album Too Much Stuff.
The album Too Much Stuff is made up of 20 songs. Here are the first three. Too Much Stuff, a few true tales of ignorance from the caricature stand, and my favorite part.
We're going to the Dells, Karaoke Rage, Data Slide, Black Friday, Tune That Name, Tune That Name.
This is where the credits would be rolling on my video.
Jello Shots, God Bless Stephen Colbert.
God bless Stephen Colbert.
My parents bought me in television.
What? Did I just hear? My parents bought me in television?
Bought me in television.
That is what you just said. That makes no sense.
Corey, hallelujah.
Actually, it makes all the sense if you're a Ghost in the Shell member. Oops.
Vacuum
Number
cleaner
95.
hoses and miraculous event they get lost box.
Skibidi got Riz check, etc.
Take care.
Can a feature film be an hour long? An hour and 10 minutes?
Probably not usually.
So if I want this to be a feature film, I have to keep recording, right?
You can have a documentary this length, probably.
Oh, well, that's perfect, because that's exactly what this is. I was just wondering if I had to keep recording when I got in the car or not. Yeah, hell no, fuck that. I'm nauseous already.